Welcome to the Powered by Age, Age-Friendly City Zoomcast reality-style podcast.
We are movers and shakers, shaking up the old notion of silent, helpless, invisible seniors.
This is a new series of podcasts funded by the City of Vancouver and the 411 Senior Center Society.
As PBA AFC ambassadors, we
raise awareness,
share our original stories and poems,
inform, advocate, and involve seniors in discussing important social issues.
In short, these podcasts will help us,
you, in creating an age-friendly city for Vancouver today,
tomorrow the world.
You can hear us everywhere podcasts are heard. Well, welcome to the Thursday, August 20th, Powered by Age podcast. I'm Charlotte Sister C. Farrell, and our theme for today is Tasty, Timely Thoughts About Walkability. Our podcast facilitator today is Neall Ryon, and we have a special guest, Alix Tier, who is the program coordinator of Living Streets 2020, the BEST program, and she'll be telling us more about what BEST means. The thing that we always do here is at the beginning, we have each person do your 15 seconds of fame introduction, and then I will be turning it over to Neall, who is our facilitator for today. So, Randall.
Hi, Randall McKinnon, member for the last 4 years. This is the first podcast I've been to.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Leslie?
Yes, I'm Leslie Hebert. I live in New Westminster and was not a member of the 411 Senior Centre. I just started when the podcasting started. I'm a writer and an ESL teacher and a member of Century House.
Eleanor?
I'm Eleanor Mack. I retired. I'm a student in UBC. And this is my summer semester. I'm doing nothing now because of the COVID-19. And I found this in the senior center. So this is my first try with the Zoom.
Well, welcome. Susan.
Hi. I'm Susan Coleman. I normally do it online. I just I couldn't access the entry point, but I'm happy with the phone today. I'm newly retired from the school system, and I've been involved with I'm involved with the Riley Park Community Garden and just a lot of things. And I'm really grateful to be here. I've been a member of 411 for 1 year. I'm not a member at the moment, but that can change very quickly.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Chris?
Hi, sorry to be late. I was engaged in cleaning up a bit. So
you were engaged.
I was engaged, yes, in cleaning up.
Oh.
But I had no help at all. I'm glad to be here. Last week, I'm not quite sure what happened. Luke and I had a little bit of an exchange, but for some reason or other, I wasn't able to get in last week, and I was really quite disappointed because I really did want to hear Kendra's daughter. So I'm looking forward to that being actually recorded and available so that I can listen to it in another format. Anyway, I'm here. I'm with Quirky at Britannia Community Center, the senior center there. I've been involved in Quirky, which is a queer imaging and queer imaging and writing collective for elders. And we just recently did a zine on COVID-19. Of course, everybody's really involved in all of that stuff. So of course we had to put pen to paper. So we've now got, at least we have an electronic copy, and we are considering having more printed because I think we had 100 printed. So we're considering having more printed, but I do have electronic copy if anybody's interested.
Oh, okay. You can maybe put the information in the chat on how people can get it.
Sure.
Okay. Luke, speaking of the person that keeps our episodes up to date.
Yep, Luke Schuss, tech support and jack of all trades for Powered by Age and 411 and anyone else. Grandma.
Okay, and about how soon will today's episode be posted to the places where people can hear it?
So last week's episode is more or less edited. I just don't have the caption for it. And that's the only holdup at the moment.
Okay, we can get that. Last week we were speaking of Two-Spirit, understanding Two-Spirit.
Mhm.
Okay, at this point I'm going to ask Alix to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name's Alix Tier, and I work for BEST, Better Environmentally Sound Transportation, which is an active transportation nonprofit based in Vancouver, and I work on the Living Streets program as the coordinator for that.
Okay, and Alix, Neall is going to be bringing you in to the presentation. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Neall Ryon, who is an author, meditator, poet, and avid walker. And he's the facilitator for our tasty talks about walking today.
I also have a poem about walking. I'm also an author. This is From the Other Side, which is about to be republished again because I just finished the edit last night. So it was fun to do a little bit of research on Walkable City. I have some presentation that I'm going to bring up in a minute. I do not have the information as to where the information came from because that part of the information was all assembled and then it disappeared from my computer. So if we need to know, I can always go back and find it because I have the information. So I'd like to bring up the first screen, which we can share. I think, Luke, you can do that. You can bring that up as a side panel. I can bring it up here, but
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. The benefits of a walking city. Walking cities are healthier. Walking is the easiest way for people to get around and are more active and benefit their physical and mental health. And this has been proven in many, many studies that I was involved with Inspire Health, which is a cancer care clinic at one point in time. And the research that was done there about walking is that it improves the general health of the body, but it can also help with chronic dis-ease. And the reduction on car dependency, I'm blessed that I live at a train station and I can go downtown and walk to wherever I want to go. And I can be downtown and I don't have to pay $10 for parking and I can be there in the same amount of time. So the reduction in car dependency will improve noise pollution and reduce whatever else that it says that it's going to reduce, but it didn't finish. Walking cities are more economically successful, enabling more people to walk, cycle, and use public transportation, can help ease costly traffic congestion whilst creating attractive places to invest, shop, and do business. Improving public spaces has also been shown to be a strong catalyst to economic success. Walking cities are greener, of course, they're greener because if you have less pollution and you have more open spaces, that everyone benefits when more people choose to walk. Walkable neighborhoods with services close to home, out the time, close to home, out, cut the time people spend in cars, reducing fuel consumption and vehicle emissions. Walking cities create stronger communities. I think of the Commercial Drive is a really, really friendly strip of sidewalk, of walkable area. I like going through the Commercial Drive area, and because there really is a sense of community there. It's a happier place, so people have a greater sense of cohesion, and children have a place to play in walking friendly communities. Walking can decrease feelings of loneliness and give a stronger sense of social interaction and belonging. Walkable neighborhoods, yada, yada, yada. I have no idea why these didn't quite make it, but we're good to go with it. So can we flip to the next one? Because I think the next one talks about the real reason, real reason that some cities are rated as more highly walkable. Okay, here, okay, ready, set, go. Neighborhoods walkable. Look for wide maintained sidewalks and walking trails. Is there any extensive public transit? This is the key to the rating of, and we'll get to the ratings in a minute, but this is the key to what makes a city walkable, and that is the availability of public transit. At some point, you may have to stop driving. Good public transit will let you stay independent. That's talking about seniors, independent, and get everywhere you need to go. I'm at an age where the government wants me to go do a physical, which is just an absolute farce. But anyway, I go every 2 years and it costs me $150. So it's really just a tax to the seniors, because the last time I did the medical is that the doctor asked me if I was sick. I said no. She said, good, here's your receipt to go and get your driver's license certified again. So, but that's true that they had some. I remember my mother having to stop driving. It was a hardship for her because she loved her little Chevy. So one of my poems says, "We are imperfect and impermanent," and that's true for all of us. So. Where are we? Target neighborhood safe. If you're choosing a neighborhood to live in, and now this probably has more to do with U.S. cities, but is your target neighborhood safe? Is look up the crime rate and ask about a community watch program when you visit the area. Make sure you feel safe walking around the town. Is there a community of like-minded seniors? I guess I don't consider myself a senior, even though I qualify quite significantly. But visit the city, you get the feel for the local community and senior centers. Find out, and I think the Vancouver area is Vancouver, Burnaby, New. I think it's well looked after in terms of there is seniors communities that seniors can connect with. what on-demand services are offered to seniors. Look for shuttles, food delivery, and maintenance services that can bring necessities straight to your door. And especially right now with the COVID out there, is there quality health care? Well, that actually is a problem and not a problem. My doctor and I haven't seen a doctor for a problem in many years. Okay. Oh, that's somebody's phone. That's why. So
Sorry, that was my phone. And it's a landline, so I can't turn it off. Maybe I'll sit on it.
Leslie, love you, Leslie. I was worried my son was going to call me today, so I'm glad to say I was just going to hang up on him. So,
yeah, I will turn my cell phone off though, because that would just be another annoyance.
Imperfect and impermanent. If there is quality healthcare, well, in BC we should have. My doctor retired, and I haven't bothered to replace him. I just go when I need my driver's certificate thing, I just go to a drop-in center, pay $150, and everybody's happy. Here's the ranking of the cities that I was able to glean from the information that's out there. And the top 5 are Vancouver. And if you look at the numbers, 79.9% for the walking score. The reason why, look at the score for the transit, is because there's good transit in Vancouver, and the bike score is 79. So Vancouver's can be applauded for the work that they're doing in this area. Montreal is a walking city. Michelle a few years ago went and did another master's degree, so we went to Montreal and lived there for 4 years. And yeah, they have a reasonably good transit system, but also it's very compact. So the city center, we were very close to Concordia University. We were very close to McMaster. I think the reason Montreal's score is because of the bike and because they have reasonable transit. Toronto is more spread out, not as easy to walk around, but they have a good transit score, and they have it's getting up there, the bike score, but I don't know if they're working on that or not. Burnaby, where I live, 61. I have no problem walking the 5K from Metrotown to where I live at Edmund Station, because there's a trail underneath the SkyTrain, and it's beautiful, and there's flowers, and there's occasionally a bench. There's a bench at Royal Oak. There's a bench at Gilly Street. There's one more bench somewhere along the way. But I think if you need to go anywhere in Burnaby, you need a car. So, but the one that surprised me is Longueuil. That's right across the river from Montreal, and they rank as number 5. But they rank as number 5 partially because of the transit and partially because of the bike. So there's your 5 top cities in Canada. The top cities in the United States is New York is number 1, but the one place that's called the walkable city is Boston, because Boston has interconnected parks, and you can walk all the way from the south end of down in the, I don't want to call it the slums, but it is a difficult area, the South Boston, all the way up through Harvard and through Cambridge, and and it's a very walkable city in the U.S. So maybe we should travel on now to go to the next window, and whenever you're ready. That's not, yeah, okay. This I took, there's a walkable city committee in London, and they have a commission that looks after the interconnected, and I was fortunate enough to live in London for 7-8 months. I lived in Brighton. I lived in York. Anyway, and how you get around in London, they have an absolutely wonderful transportation system, the underground. And that's been the key factor, is that I would do the underground, go to where I was needing to go, and then choose, because there's so many parks in London, I'd choose a park and walk through the park to my destination. You know, if I was going to Albert Hall, I'd take the train to Kensington and walk across the park through to Albert Hall. So it was I just absolutely fell in love with London, and I don't think that I've ever had a more free and interesting time while Michelle was doing her second master's degree. So so in 2017, the mayor of London, whoever that was, I think that was Khan, but I don't, appointed a walking and cycling commission whose role is to make walking and cycling easier and safer across the capital. The mayor's new Healthy Streets approach is a comment to a system of healthy streets, is a commitment to a system of healthy streets and strategies that will help Londoners use cars less and walk more. And they added to that a fine for cars. It cost £5 or £10 just to drive in to the city. So these 8 steps were the ones that they chose to make creating a more walkable city based on examples of best practices from all over the world. And is it Alix? Alix? Yes.
Yeah.
I found these really interesting, and maybe I need to send you a copy of this. Anyway, appoint someone at a senior level to champion walking with the power to make positive changes happening. Make walking for short distances the central theme of transport planning, health, and clean air strategies to encourage complementary policies and actions. Set ambitious targets to increase walking and reduce motor traffic. A fine to have your car in the inner city is a really interesting idea. Ensure ambition is matched with a clear and appropriate budget, which reflects the importance of walking as a serious transport mode. Make sure you know and have access to the full range of funding streams that can support these improvements. Create a strong stakeholder steering group with an active travel and the public realm to help advise and support your walking ambitions. 7, collect, I think we're almost down. There's one step at the bottom. Okay, thank you, Lou. Collect qualitative and quantitative data about walking and the pedestrian experience to measure success and inform future improvements. And benchmark your city's walkability against other towns and cities and learn and look to learn from best practice everywhere elsewhere. And I'm not big on being competitive, but the idea of benchmarking, I think we can take the benchmarking from anywhere in the world and decide if their practices can help us improve our system. So with that, I'm looking to see where we are. Oh, okay, we're halfway home. I'd like to introduce, if I knew more about her, I'd say more about her, but I'd like to introduce Alix and have her respond to the information that we have put out right now, and have her tell us where we're at in the city. Thank you, Luke. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on today. And so the Living Streets program is about a lot of what you just mentioned. So it's a walking promotion program, and we focus on walking for social connection, mental health and well-being, healthy active living, as a way to get from one transportation mode to the other. So these are all things that the Living Streets program promotes. So what we're trying to do this year is we're trying to gather some of that baseline information about what walking looks like around BC. So our program doesn't look just at Vancouver or Metro Vancouver. We're looking at communities in the north, communities on the island, in the interior, all over, to really understand why individuals are walking or what might be preventing them from walking. So as you mentioned, on your walk to the SkyTrain station, you enjoy it because you're able to walk along a nice path protected from vehicles, as well as places to sit. So the big thing that we've been pushing this year is our walking survey, which we encourage everyone to fill out. And that can be found at livingstreets.ca. And there's the opportunity to respond to any reasons that you do walk. So whether you walk for social connection or whether you walk for exercise or as a mode of transportation. So we encourage you to fill that out. And then there's also the opportunity to indicate why you might not be walking. So whether these are infrastructural problems, maybe the sidewalks don't accommodate your mode of walking, perhaps there aren't enough benches for you, or curb cuts, which might make it a bit more difficult. We are also taking the survey as the opportunity to understand how rural and urban walking might be different. Because we are looking at the overall BC context, we know that walking isn't the same in different communities. Even looking at that walkability information and comparing the city of Vancouver to Burnaby, which are directly beside each other, they have very different walkability scores. And that might be based on transit or cycling infrastructure, but certainly walking infrastructure is probably represented there as well. So the Living Streets program is hoping to take this information and create that baseline data for communities to be able to refer to improve what walking looks like in their community. And we're also asking communities and individuals to help share any kind of walking related projects that are going on. And we have those on our What's Happening page. And we're hoping that that becomes a central hub for all sorts of walking related resources and information. And when individuals are looking to start a walking initiative in their community, they have something to refer to and some inspiration to go off of. So that's what the Living Streets is about, and we're hoping to really create that hub and access information from that website.
How do I find out? You said livingstreets.ca. When I doing research, I did not turn up a lead on the internet to Living Streets. How are you getting that information out there?
So we've been reaching out to municipalities all over BC, as well as health authorities, and community contacts, so community groups that are advocating for walking. It is a new program that we just launched this year in June. So it is a very new program as a communication campaign. So it might just be taking a little bit of time to show up on your search.
Yeah, okay. I got 1 million hits anyway, so you were probably in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were some of the facts you were going to share about the benefits of walking?
Yeah, so I think that Neall definitely covered quite a few. The idea of walking for healthy living, social connection, mental wellness are really at the forefront of what we're trying to promote with Living Streets. And so we've started a blog that can be found on that livingstreets.ca webpage. And every week we have a different theme where we go over how walking helps with social connection or safety and education. This week, our theme was climate action. So I know that at another earlier mention, Neall mentioned walking helps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we talk a little bit about the implications of walking and how exactly that helps to reduce them in the whole system. So yeah, we've got a number of topics that we'd welcome you all to explore through that webpage.
Alix, I would recommend you talk to Inspire Health. They have a fundraising program that they do every spring called Rain Walk. And it's where you obligate to share your money with somebody that's walking, and for every kilometer I don't know all the exact details, but I hear they get a lot of I've never participated. I've never been. The timing has always been wrong. So, but for me, I've either been away or anyway. But they have this thing called Rain Walk, and I don't know who the manager is there anymore, but. I think it would be interesting for you to see, because they do scientific studies. They are funded in part by the BC government, and they have one of their staff is dedicated to researching cancer research and the latest information. And it'd be interesting to know if they have any results from the work from the Rain Walk and that could be used as a part of your program. So I only know the men's counselor there, so because everybody's changed there except for the head honcho, which is Dr. Janice Wright. But she's the El Presidente or something like that. So, do we have any other questions? Can I put somebody on the spot? Leslie, you always have an inquisitive mind.
Okay, I have a whole list of things here, but I try and think what's pertinent. So first of all, I was wondering, Alix, you haven't probably finished the research yet, but what are the differences you perceive between rural and urban walkability?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that's come up for us is distances to where people are walking. Whereas in many urban areas, many of us can go to the grocery store or just for a walk around the neighborhood. And that's easy for us to see a number of neighbors, feel socially connected, because the density is so much greater. Whereas in rural areas, what we've heard from speaking to a number of communities is that a lot of individuals have to drive to a place that they're then able to walk and connect socially, whether it be on trails. So one thing that we really wanted to highlight with this program is that we're not necessarily discouraging other modes of transportation, but seeing how that fits into the way we and whether that means taking the bus to get to a destination that you're able to walk, or walking directly from home, or driving to a trailhead. It's all walking, and it encourages this sense of connection with others, nature, that the social aspects, the mental aspects, and the health benefits of walking. So understanding that in rural and urban areas, walking can look very different.
Yeah, it's always seemed a little strange to me that people actually drive somewhere so that they can walk.
Of course.
Yeah, I grew up in London, and I was surprised about Sadiq Khan's Walkability initiative, because I always found London extremely walkable, much more walkable than I found that Vancouver was when I first arrived. And the other thing I noticed here was this North American love affair with cars. And I used to laugh at my husband, because he, I have to go to the corner store and pick something up. It's 3 blocks away, and he'd hop in the car. And it's like, I grew up, you walk. If it's 3 blocks, it's no distance at all, right? It's just a different mindset. So do you think that people here in the Lower Mainland specifically are changing their attitudes towards cars? They're sort of getting, distanced from cars and getting more into walking, biking, public transportation?
Yeah, I think that cities in the Lower Mainland are certainly making an effort to encouraging alternate modes of transportation rather than the single occupancy vehicle. And I think that particularly right now during COVID, beyond just the Lower Mainland, a number of communities in BC have really made steps forwards very rapidly to encouraging individuals to be walking and biking rather than driving, with different kinds of space reallocation. So it's great to see how parking spots are being converted into patios, and that really encourages people to walk to them. Having main streets dedicated to pedestrians and other modes of transportation is great to see. And I think those are the kind of projects that perhaps have come out of COVID-19, but will encourage people moving forward to not drive as much or when it's not necessary. And I think from my personal experiences in Vancouver at the moment, it's been great to see a shift towards more people staying a bit closer to home, perhaps, if going to local parks and shops and cafes and supporting what's in their community directly. And that often means that we're able to walk there or bike there, and that people are taking their vehicles less. I know just being out on the road, either on foot or by bike, I've seen a lot less cars in the past few months, which is really exciting. And I think that's something that people are starting to realize with the current condition, that they're going to be able to do that more going forward. And it forced us to step out of our comfort zone of the vehicle a little bit.
Yeah, another aspect of walkability, I think, is neighborhood services. And we've mentioned this before in other podcasts, that the neighborhood that I live in, when we first moved in here, had neighborhood stores, a bank branch close by. We are very close to the SkyTrain, which is great, but a lot of other things have disappeared. So now we don't have the neighborhood grocery store. We don't have the local bank. We don't have the dry cleaners up the street. We don't have the family grocery that used to be up there. So pretty much now we have to drive to get food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
so
an issue, right?
Definitely. And I think that the current situation is definitely pointing to some of those inequities in different communities around Vancouver. Because many communities, individuals are able to walk to maybe 3 or 4 different grocery stores, and in other communities, individuals aren't able to walk to any. So I think it's really going to point to a gap in our current urban infrastructure and how we're planning our communities, and what we need to push for moving forward, and making sure that everyone has access to those things in their neighborhood. And that's going to help to encourage individuals to be walking or biking and supporting local, which will be very important moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Alix.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Oh, Chris, please.
While, I'm called Troublemakers, my middle
Yeah,
name.
yeah. I love that.
While I certainly understand and I support a lot of what you're talking about and what you're saying, and clearly, obviously, more walking, riding bikes is going to improve the environment, et cetera, et cetera. For the last year, I've had a disability, and the only way I can only walk half a block. Without being in pain, I cannot walk any more than half a block. Recently, I've had surgery on my leg, so that hopefully that will improve that. One of the things that I think Vancouver has done well, because now I'm in the position to use a scooter, one of those mobility scooters, which has really made a big difference to my life. I also live in the Commercial Drive neighborhood, so I've got access by scooter to a lot of things. But I think one of the things that Vancouver has done really well over the years, and because of a lot of advocacy on behalf of people with disabilities and older adults, is the curb cuts. Because without something like that, I would need to drive, right? Because there's no way that I could manage to get from where I live to even to the grocery store without having that additional piece that makes it possible for those of us with a disability to actually be able to, at least in some circumstances, not use a car. I was on the Seniors Advisory Committee for a number of years, and I don't know whether many of you are familiar, but what we call the medical precinct, which is down 10th Avenue, we fought and fought and fought with the city about the need to maintain parking spaces rather than changing everything into bike lanes, because they said, well, there's a lot of people who ride bikes to Vancouver, to VGH. We said, yes, but there's also a lot of people that go to the cancer agency. There's people that go to the eye clinic. And if you're driving somebody somewhere like that because they need to be driven, then you have to make it possible for someone to be able to stop the car, park the car, and then be able to accompany the person into the place where they're going. So, I think it's also really, really important while I certainly appreciate the less cars, and I certainly appreciate the whole notion of walking, I'm really concerned about the fact that older adults and people with disabilities are not really taken into consideration. In the previous municipal government, we had to fight like crazy to be able to hang on to anything that would make it possible for older adults with disabilities and younger people with disabilities. So I think I used to go to some of these meetings where the bike active, it's called active transportation now, I think. And I used to be pissed off because it was push. Everything has to be bike lanes. Yes. And what about me? I can't use a bike lane. Right? So I think there needs to be a balance in this. And at least when you're talking about these things, that there is some mention of and some consideration of the fact that as we grow older as well, they're fairly large. We're becoming a bigger part of the population in terms of the need to be able to have access to places that don't depend on walking and don't depend on biking. Having said that, I know that lots of older people are able to do those things, but I'm not one of them. And I know a lot of other people who are not as well. So it's a caution. I think for me, it's a caution. that needs to be taken into consideration, and at least be conscious of the fact that there is another segment of the population for whom walkability is is very challenging. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. As you can tell, it's a bit of a soapbox issue for me.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Chris, you know, you see all this black and white thinking, right?
Yeah.
Cars are bad, therefore we have to ban cars, even though there's some people that still need to rely on them.
Right.
And I remember years ago, I think it was down in Falls Creek, they had this condo development, and they said, well, you know, people are going to be using public transportation, so they really don't need to be provided with parking. But people still went out and they had to buy groceries, and they had to carry groceries into their condos, and they had to, wherever they could park, they have to walk for a long way and, you know, upstairs, and it's very inconvenient.
Yeah.
Chris is right, though. I tell you, they took out all the car parking on 10th Avenue from a dozen streets.
Between Cambie and Oak.
Yeah, Oak. I was thinking of Oak Street.
Yeah, between Cambie and Oak.
Yeah. Anyway, I think maybe we're going to move on. And Luke, can you
look? Comment though. I have two things that begin with a B, and one is benches and bicycles, because bathrooms. But
that's three things.
At another point, walked a lot. I mean, even with my children, I had one of those. I was happy to get one of those English prams that could bounce down the stairs. But while I was working for the health department, I was injured. I had a spinal bruise, and it changed a lot of things. In fact, I have 3 times in life been in a car accident. I have a safe driver certificate. It's right when I had a really good person to drive me, that somebody else bumped into the car. But I have recurring pain with my back. And now I would love to walk to Raleigh Park. I'm in the Raleigh Park area, but you have to walk up a hill. There's a hill on Fraser, and there's a hill between Fraser and Main Street. And I hurt so bad one day, I thought I would just sit down on the curb, except that there'd be nobody to pick me up. But I walk all the way up to 30th Street, because the people along that block, I don't know whether it's a neighborhood initiative or a municipal initiative, but they have more benches, and they are welcoming benches, because some people have a little sign, feel free to sit on our bench, or the bench is facing out toward the street. So, it wasn't a bench that they just put there for the family. But I think we need to find out who is the person or the people working on the city plan to put more benches out. Because if you are enjoying a walk, every block or so, I mean, even within a block, you need a couple of benches. And then around bikes, okay, I rode a bike since I was 10, but I need 3 wheels. And whoever has put all those bikes, all those places, there are 3-wheel bikes available, but they're about $600 to even $1,000. But I think that the city could work with a person or somebody that is great at engineering these 3-wheelers, or even just, it's a balance thing. I mean, as you said, in 15 years, more than 50% of the population in BC will be 85. There are people, as Neall has said, at 80 that still walk, but a lot of people can't, but would love to ride a bike. I would love to ride a bike, but I really don't want to be on 2 wheels and worrying about falling. I want to have 3 wheels. So those are things that I think that the people that are developing plans for making Vancouver an age-friendly city are working on walkability. If they could put in more benches and find some bikes that have got 3 wheels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And certainly from my perspective, in terms of the Seniors Advisory Committee, that is constant. Benches and bathrooms, that we constantly are saying, these are things that older adults need, and it's absolutely essential in order for people of various ages not just older people, but people of various ages who need to have that sort of accommodation. And that's what really bothers me, the fact that there's so much talk about bikes and walking and all this stuff, and so little awareness and consciousness around the needs of the aging population that we are.
Randall, what do you know anything of efforts to get more bathrooms or benches?
I don't, but I'm on the same wavelength. I think benches are important, and I wonder if there's sort of a map of benches or a bench census to kind of indicate where things are and where they should be. With Boston being a connected park walkway place, I think it might make sense to look at what the connections are between various benches and what kinds of routes people could take for walking around the city.
Alix, are those some things that you could bring back? They might not necessarily be questions on your survey, but do you have, or could you suggest connections or networks where we could make those sentiments heard or see that they're getting included?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are a number that unfortunately I'm not totally checked in with. The only outlet I would be able to provide you with or recommend, you mentioned that, is the survey, where you could mention that it's something that discourages you from walking, and that's information that we're going to be sharing with municipalities around BC to really try and have that information communicated. So that would be the only outlet I would be able to share with you today. I'm sure there are a number more with different cities in the Lower Mainland, but unfortunately I'm not checked in with those.
And can you tell us the link again for the survey?
So yes, the survey can be found at livingstreets.ca.
My particular pitch is about the bicycles. So I'm supposed to walk in the same direction that the bikes are traveling. What a stupid idea that is. If I'm going to be walking towards, a bicycle goes by me at 20 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, maybe more. And I don't see him coming. So I always walk on the wrong side of the road when I'm underneath the SkyTrain, because I want to see 180 pounds of men in metal coming at me at a high rate of speed. And I don't like being surprised, because they never, ever, ever, ever signal that they're coming up behind me. So I walk on the wrong side. I say, I'm like Chris. I love being the rebel. It was built into my blood when I was born. Can I do my poem now? Because
yes.
we're almost out of time. And I especially want to share this with Alix. Alix, give me a poem, Luke. Ready, set. It's called Just a Step Away. 2 million years ago, the monkey stood up, wanting a better look for the danger in the grass. And then to keep the lion in view, he took a step, and we learned to walk. Any journey is never more than a single step. To the corner store or the mountaintop, done one step by one step. All we ever take is a single step. Yes, wisdom states that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but a single step is all we ever take. We can never take more. The two-step dance from the last century, as popular as it may have been, was still only one step followed by one step. One step, then one step. That's all we ever do. Neil Armstrong famously said, "That's one small step for man." It may have been on the moon, But one step is all we ever do. Big step, little step, in the sun or in the rain, no matter how near, no matter how far, it only consists of one step followed by one step, because that's all we ever do. We learn to walk before we can talk. The imperative makes it so. So step out and go for a walk and give thanks to the monkey who started it all. One step by one step, because that's all we ever do. Thank you.
That is wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Neil and Alix, for giving us a wonderful talk about walking, many things to think about, things to encourage other people about, and to just keep making our preferences and our needs known as we learn that people are developing this plan for the city and plan for the neighboring cities. So anyone have any parting thoughts regarding that?
Yes, I have a parting thought. Be careful while you're walking.
Oh.
When you have an argument with the sidewalk usually wins.
Oh, no.
Oh, you
Neil
should.
also has a script for a movie about following a path without a sign and where you could end up. Luke,
What's that?
your mud story.
So is this,
Yeah, I have not written that down, but yes, I followed a path that got me into trouble, and the mud was up to my ankles, and I thought I'm going to die here unless I find a way out, and that was right in the city, Burnaby, one of the parks, and anyway, yeah, that was quite an adventure. I'm always walking somewhere, going somewhere, doing something. So I figure, hey, as long as I keep doing that, I'm not going to grow old. And I'm halfway to my 81st birthday, so.
you're 41?
That's great.
40
So
and a
Luke,
half.
Again, yes, 41 again and again. Just one step.
Like Jack Benny.
Thank you all for coming to my program today. I love being the center of attention, so that and $3 will always buy me a cup of Starbucks coffee.
I think Luke had a comment.
No. Well, I guess I could have a comment. Neil, I actually bought a bell for my bike after hearing you talk about your experience before. So you're having a positive impact.
But do you use it? You know, that's another story.
It's another story.
I solved the problem. It's really simple. I walk towards the bikes. I don't walk away from them. And I would really hope that some cop one day is going to give me a ticket for that, because I'd love to take that one to court. Be well, people. Thank you.
Eleanor, you were new with us today. Did you have any comments or thoughts about our podcast?
She's mute. Eleanor is mute.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm mute because this is my first time. Never done this before. Yeah, I found really very inspiring to hear different people's concerns, which are mostly my concerns anyway. So it's really good to hear those. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. We look forward to seeing you again. Okay, next week we're working toward creativity. This podcast, with our episodes, we started with people sharing their poems, their stories. So if you have a poem, you have a story you want to share, or some thoughts on creativity, you could email me or let me know. We're going to be taking part in Culture Canada Days, which comes up from the 25th of September to the 25th of October. So there will be some times that some of you who have stories will have a collection of just stories and add in music and other elements. There's a project that Leslie and Neil are working on, integrating a poem with a story. So we're going to be doing things to encourage more people to come on, share their writing, share their ideas, as well as issues that they'd like to have discussed. As many of you may have heard, while they are saying that the schools are going to reopen soon, they have not, ministries of health have not given senior centers an okay or go ahead to reopen. So this virtual communications is going to be an ongoing thing. And many people have said that it's helped them with the loneliness, or it's helped them to just still feel encouraged. So think your thoughts, send me ideas that you have about creativity, and we will see you again next week at 1 at
Alix,
Age.
Alix, I forgot to remember where the accent is. If that poem would ever help you with any of your stuff, please let me know. I'd be happy to mail you a copy.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I'm sure we could definitely have that on some of our content. It was a beautiful poem about walking, and I think would definitely encourage quite a few people to get out there and keep on walking.
Go for a walk.
Yeah, we should get it as a billboard. See how we can have that as a billboard at different places between the subway entrances.
Is today's session recorded?
Yes.
And how will it be available?
Luke, can you tell them how the places that our podcasts are posted?
We're going to post it. It's always audio only, and it'll be posted on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Facebook.
And what title?
Powered by Age.
Oh, great. Super. Thanks, Luke.
And it will also, the 411, PBA website is being remodeled, but it will also be on the 411 website and the PBA website.
Great.
Okay, look forward to hearing and seeing you again. Are you doing the Philosophers Cafe remotely?
No.
Okay, well, you're welcome to, if at any point you want to have any of the Philosophers Cafe topics as one of our podcasts, we could definitely arrange to do that.
Oh, okay. I'll give that some thought.
Okay. All righty. I'm not going to sing the Mickey Mouse Club song. I'll just say the more we get together, the happier we'll be. And I'm Sister C. We're out.
Randall, I'm interested in this, what Sister C just mentioned about the Philosopher's Corner, Cafe, rather. I need to know more about it, but let's not take it right now. So,
well, you can mention it. Maybe someone listening might also want to know what that is.
Where do I find more about it?
It's you can actually look for a description of the program. It's in suspension right now, like a lot of other things, but it's philosopherscafe.net has the SFU website, and has a description of the program.
.net.
Yes, we can definitely talk, because the kind of topics that you had, went to a couple of the sessions. Those are types of topics that we deal with in our podcast. So we can see how we can pivot to have Philosophers Cafe as part of the podcast program.
Well,
yeah, I've certainly been aware of it, and the topics have always looked really interesting, and I've never quite got down to take part in one. So.
I'm going to put my email up on screen if anybody, and I'm thinking of Alix, and ncr223 at gmail.com, and some of my poetry is on from the other side.ca. And my book is of the same name, from the other side.ca. No, I spelt it wrong. It says aid. I don't mean aid, I mean side. Yes, from the other side.ca.
Okay.
And Alex, if you connect with me there at the Gmail, then I'll send you a poem. I'll send you the I'll send you a poem. I'll tell you this. Send you the one that's rated XXX.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you again, Alex.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Alex, you did an excellent job for me. I thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it was a total pleasure, and it was great to be able to talk with you all. Get some new perspectives as well. It's always really important.
I'm going to go now. I got to take off.
Okay.
I got to go publish my
Thanks a
book.
lot.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye now.
See you next
Bye-bye.
week.